I never thought I'd tell this story to anyone. Some truths are so fragile, so miraculous that speaking them aloud feels like tempting fate. But I need to put these words somewhere, even if just on paper, to convince myself that the impossible really happened. My name is Elaine Barrett. I'm 42 years old, and until 6 months ago, I was just another woman living a quiet life in the suburbs of Portland, working as a nurse at Providence Medical Center, coming home to an empty house with too many rooms. Just another woman carrying a wound that never quite healed. But I should start from the beginning. 18 years ago, I was 24 and my life was a mess. I dropped out of nursing school to follow a boyfriend to California, where he promptly dumped me for someone else. I was waiting tables at a diner near Bakersfield, living in a studio apartment with mold growing in the bathroom and a landlord who forgot to fix the heater every winter. My parents had passed away in a car accident when I was 20, leaving me with no family to speak of except a distant aunt in Minnesota who sent birthday cards with $5 bills tucked inside. When I discovered I was pregnant, I spent 3 days crying on my bathroom floor. The father was gone, a brief relationship with a man passing through town. I had barely enough money to feed myself, let alone a child. And yet, when I felt those first kicks, something inside me shifted. I started talking to my growing belly, singing to it, planning impossibilities. I saved every penny I could, bought second-hand baby clothes, and dreamed of somehow making it work. Then came the complications. Preeclampsia. Hospital stays I couldn't afford. My blood pressure climbed dangerously high. By the time my son was born, a tiny, perfect boy with a dusting of dark hair and eyes that seemed to hold all the wisdom in the world, I was drowning in medical debt and facing eviction. I named him James, after my father. I held him for 2 days in the hospital before signing the adoption papers. The social worker assured me he would go to a loving family, a stable home, everything I couldn't provide. I told myself it was the most selfless act of love I could offer him. I believed it then. I had to. They let me write him a letter, to be given to him when he turned 18 if he wanted it. I poured my heart onto those pages, explaining that I hadn't abandoned him but set him free, that not a day would pass without me wondering about him, loving him from afar. I included a small silver compass that had belonged to my father, my only family heirloom, hoping it might somehow guide him back to me someday. After James, I pulled myself together piece by piece. I moved to Oregon, finished nursing school, bought a small house in the suburbs. I dated occasionally but never let anyone close enough to see the hollow space inside me. Every year on his birthday, I baked a cake and blew out the candles for him, making the same wish each time, that he was happy, loved, safe. By the time I turned 40, I had mostly accepted that my life would continue this way, comfortable but incomplete. My colleagues at the hospital thought I was just naturally reserved, focused on my career. They didn't know I still kept a box of baby clothes in my attic, or that sometimes I'd walk through the children's department at stores and wonder what size he would wear now. The day everything changed started like any other Tuesday. I was off work, running errands around town. The sky was threatening rain, the kind of heavy gray that hangs over the Pacific Northwest for months. I had just left the grocery store and was driving home when I saw the smoke. It was coming from the Meadowbrook Apartments, a 2-story complex about half a mile from my house. Black smoke billowed from one of the upper units, and even from a distance, I could see the orange flicker of flames in the windows. I pulled over and called 911, but before I even finished giving the dispatcher the address, I was getting out of my car, running toward the building. People were streaming out of the apartments, some coughing, others crying. I heard sirens in the distance, but they sounded too far away. A woman in a bathrobe was screaming hysterically about her neighbor's son being home alone. "He's just a boy," she kept saying. "His mother's at work. He's all alone in there." I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was 18 years of nursing instinct, maybe it was something else entirely. But I found myself running into that building while everyone else was running out. The smoke was thicker inside, stinging my eyes and scratching at my lungs. I pulled my scarf over my mouth and nose, crouching low to the ground as I made my way up the stairs. "Hello?" I called out, my voice muffled by the scarf. "Is anyone here?" "Fire department is coming." I heard nothing but the crackle of flames and the distant wail of sirens. The second floor was a maze of identical doors, and the smoke was disorienting. I was about to turn back when I heard it, a faint coughing sound coming from the apartment at the end of the hall. The door was unlocked. Inside, the smoke was so thick I could barely see, but it seemed to be coming from the kitchen. I dropped to my hands and knees, crawling toward the sound of coughing. "Hello? Where are you?" I called out. "Help," came a small voice. "I'm in here." I found him in the bathroom, huddled in the tub with a wet towel over his head. Smart kid. He'd remembered what to do in a fire. He was maybe 9 or 10 years old, with dark hair and eyes wide with fear. Something about those eyes tugged at me, but I didn't have time to dwell on it. "I'm a nurse," I told him, keeping my voice calm. "I'm going to get you out of here, okay? Can you walk?" He nodded, but when he tried to stand, he stumbled. "My ankle hurts," he said. I twisted it trying to get out. "That's okay. I'm going to carry you." I wrapped the wet towel around both of us and lifted him into my arms. He was light, too light for a boy his age, but solid and warm against my chest. "Hold on tight," I instructed. "Keep your face covered." The journey back through the apartment was a blur. The smoke was thicker now, and I could feel the heat of the fire as it spread from the kitchen. My lungs burned, and my eyes watered so badly I could barely see, but I kept moving, one foot in front of the other, the boy clutched against me. Somehow, we made it down the stairs and out the front door just as the first firefighters were rushing in. The fresh air hit us like a wall, and I stumbled to my knees on the wet grass, the boy still in my arms. We were both coughing violently, but we were alive. Paramedics swarmed us, separating us to check our vitals and administer oxygen. Through the chaos, I kept my eyes on the boy. He looked small and vulnerable on the stretcher, an oxygen mask covering half his face. Our eyes met across the distance, and he gave me a weak thumbs up. Something in my chest tightened, an emotion I couldn't name. "He needs to go to the hospital," one of the paramedics told me. "Smoke inhalation, possible minor burns, and that ankle needs to be looked at." "I'll go with him," I said automatically. "I'm a nurse at Providence. His mother isn't here, and he shouldn't be alone." The paramedic nodded, too busy to question why this strange woman was so invested in a child she'd just met. They loaded us both into the ambulance, and as we pulled away from the burning building, I reached over and took the boy's hand. His fingers wrapped around mine, trusting, and I felt a surge of protectiveness that caught me off guard. "What's your name?" I asked him. "Jamie," he said, his voice muffled by the oxygen mask. "Jamie Reyes." "Jamie. James." I told myself it was a common name, that the prickle of recognition I felt was nothing more than coincidence and adrenaline. "I'm Elaine," I told him. "You're very brave, Jamie." He tried to smile, then winced. "Is my mom going to be mad about the fire?" I was trying to make mac and cheese, but the oil caught fire. "She's going to be too relieved that you're okay to be mad," I assured him, though I had no idea if that was true. "Do you know how to reach her?" He recited a phone number, which I dialed on my cell phone. No answer. I left a message explaining what had happened and that Jamie was being taken to Providence Medical Center. At the hospital, I used my staff credentials to stay with Jamie while he was examined. His ankle was indeed sprained, not broken, and though his lungs sounded a bit raspy from the smoke, the doctor was confident he would recover quickly. I sat by his bed in the pediatric ward, watching him sleep after they'd given him something for the pain. In repose, his face was softer, younger. He had long eyelashes that cast shadows on his cheeks, and a small mole just below his left ear. I found myself cataloging these details, storing them away like treasures. There was something about this child that pulled at me, beyond the dramatic circumstances of our meeting. It was nearly 2 hours before Jamie's mother arrived, bursting into the room with panic written across her face. She was a petite woman with blonde hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing a waitress uniform from a local diner. "Jamie," she cried, rushing to his bedside. The boy stirred, his eyes fluttering open. "Mom," he said sleepily. "I'm sorry about the mac and cheese." She let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob, gathering him in her arms. "Oh, baby, I don't care about that. I'm just glad you're okay." She looked up at me then, seeming to notice me for the first time. "Are you his doctor?" "No, I'm Elaine Barrett. I'm a nurse here, but I was off duty today. I'm the one who found Jamie in the apartment." Her eyes widened. "You went in there?" "The firefighters told me someone had gotten him out before they arrived." "That was you?" I nodded, suddenly embarrassed by her gratitude. "It was nothing. I just did what anyone would do." "You saved my son's life," she said firmly, reaching out to grasp my hand. "That's not nothing. I'm Anna Reyes. I can never thank you enough." Anna stayed by Jamie's side while I stepped out to speak with the attending physician, using my familiarity with the hospital to get updates on Jamie's condition. When I returned, Anna was sitting in the chair beside his bed, her shoulders slumped with fatigue. "They want to keep him overnight for observation," I told her softly. "Just to be safe." She nodded, rubbing her eyes. "I don't know what we're going to do. Our apartment, everything we own. Do you have family you can stay with?" "No," she said. "It's just Jamie and me. We moved here from California last year. I don't really know anyone yet." I made a split-second decision. "I have a spare room. You're both welcome to stay with me until you figure things out." Anna looked up at me, surprise evident on her face. "You don't even know us." I shrugged, trying to make light of the offer that had come from someplace deeper than I was ready to examine. "I know Jamie's brave and smart enough to remember fire safety. And I know you're a mom who races to her son's side the minute she gets the call. That tells me enough." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "Thank you. Just for a few days, until the insurance comes through." I stayed with them at the hospital that night, dozing in an uncomfortable chair while Jamie slept and Anna filled out paperwork for the hospital, the insurance company, the Red Cross. In the morning, when Jamie was discharged, I drove them both to my house. It was strange, opening my door to these strangers who somehow didn't feel like strangers at all. My house had been quiet for so long, the kind of silence that eventually becomes its own kind of noise. But now there was Jamie's halting step as he navigated on crutches, Anna's soft voice thanking me again and again. "The guest room is upstairs," I told them, leading the way. "There's a bathroom attached. It's not much, but it's clean." "It's perfect," Anna said, setting down the small duffel bag of donated clothes the hospital had given them. "I can't tell you how much this means to us." I left them to settle in, going downstairs to prepare lunch. As I moved around my kitchen, pulling out bread and soup ingredients, I felt a strange sense of rightness, as if some missing piece had clicked into place. I told myself it was just the satisfaction of helping someone in need, the nurse in me responding to a crisis. But later that afternoon, as I helped Jamie with his crutches and showed him how to navigate the stairs, I felt that pull again, stronger this time. He had a serious way about him, thoughtful beyond his years. When he smiled, though, his whole face lit up. "How old are you, Jamie?" I asked as we made our way slowly to the living room. "I'll be 10 next month," he said, concentrating on his steps. 10. I did the quick math. The timing was right, but that could be said of millions of children. I was seeing connections where there were none, letting my old grief color my perceptions of this child who needed help, not a stranger's misplaced maternal longing. Over the next few days, we fell into an unexpected routine. Anna would leave early for her waitressing shift, and I would help Jamie with his schoolwork that his teacher had emailed over. My shifts at the hospital were mostly evenings that week, so I was home during the day. Jamie was a bright student, quick with numbers and thoughtful about the stories he read. He had a way of tilting his head when he was considering a question, exactly the way my father used to do. "Did you always want to be a nurse?" he asked me one afternoon as I checked his ankle, which was healing nicely. "Not always," I admitted. "But I've always wanted to help people." "I want to be a doctor," he said seriously. "Or maybe an astronaut. Or both." I laughed. "A doctor-astronaut? That's ambitious." He nodded, his expression earnest. "Mom says I can be anything I want if I work hard enough. But she also says I need to pick something that helps people." "Your mom sounds very wise." "She is," he agreed. "She works really hard. That's why I was trying to make dinner by myself. So she wouldn't have to do it when she got home." The simple statement hit me like a physical blow. This child, trying to ease his mother's burden. I remembered my own mother, how tired she always looked after her shifts at the factory, how I'd learned to cook simple meals by the time I was 10. "That was very thoughtful of you," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Next time, though, maybe stick to sandwiches instead of things that need the stove." He grinned. "Deal." On their 5th day with me, Anna came home from her shift with news. The insurance adjuster called. "They're putting us up in a hotel while they process our claim. We can move in tomorrow." "Oh," I said, surprised by the disappointment that washed over me. "That's great. I'm glad they're taking care of you." Anna twisted her hands together. "Elaine, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done." "You don't need to thank me. It's been nice having company." An understatement. It had been transformative, this brief window into family life, even a makeshift one. That night, I lay awake in bed, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of other people in my house, the flush of a toilet, the creak of floorboards, the murmur of Anna's voice as she read Jamie a bedtime story. Tomorrow, they would be gone, and my house would return to its usual silence. The thought was unbearable. I told myself I was being ridiculous. I'd known these people less than a week. My attachment was inappropriate, born of old grief and wishful thinking. And yet, the next morning, as we packed up the few belongings they'd accumulated, Jamie asked if he could hug me. I knelt down, and his thin arms wrapped around my neck. "Thank you for saving me," he whispered. "Anytime," I whispered back, my voice thick with emotion. Anna insisted on making breakfast before they left, and as we sat around my dining table, she asked me about my family. "I don't have any," I said simply. "My parents died when I was young, and I never had siblings." "No husband?" "Kids," she pressed gently. I hesitated, then shook my head. "No. Neither." She seemed about to say something more, but Jamie interrupted. "Can I show Elaine my compass before we go?" Anna nodded, and Jamie pulled something from his pocket. "My birth mom gave this to me," he explained, holding out a small silver compass. "Well, not exactly to me. She gave it to the adoption people, and they gave it to Mom when she adopted me, and Mom gave it to me on my 8th birthday." The world tilted sideways. I stared at the compass in his palm, my father's compass, the one I'd included with the letter for my son. The very same compass, worn around the edges, the same slight dent on the cover that had been there since my father dropped it on a camping trip when I was 7. "Can I see that?" I asked, my voice barely audible. Jamie handed it to me. "It's real silver. And it still works. See?" He flipped it open, showing me how the needle still swung toward north. My hands trembled as I held it, turning it over to see the initials on the back, J.B. James Barrett. My father's name. The compass I'd last seen 18 years ago, when I placed it in an envelope alongside a letter pouring out my heart to a child I thought I'd never see again. I looked up at Jamie, at his dark hair, his thoughtful eyes that had seemed so familiar from the first moment I saw him. At the small mole below his left ear, just like the one my father had had. At the way he tilted his head as he watched me examine the compass. "Jamie," I said carefully, "how old did you say you'll be next month?" 10, he replied. I did the math again. The timing was right, but James, my James, would be 10 in November, not. "When's your birthday?" I asked. "November 14th, he said. "November 14th. The day my son was born. The day I held him for 2 days before giving him up." I must have made some sound, because Anna was suddenly beside me, her hand on my arm. "Elaine? Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." In a way, I had. I handed the compass back to Jamie, my fingers brushing against his. My son's fingers. I was sure of it now, beyond any doubt. "I'm fine," I managed to say. "It's just a beautiful compass." Anna was still watching me, a strange expression on her face. "Jamie, why don't you go make sure we haven't left anything in the guest room?" When he was gone, she sat down across from me. "You recognized that compass, didn't you?" I nodded, unable to speak. "I thought there was something familiar about you," she said quietly. "The way you look at him." I suspected, but I wasn't sure until now. "How did you know?" I whispered. "The letter," she said. "The one that came with the compass. It mentioned that his birth mother was named Elaine, that she had dark hair and eyes like his, that she was going to become a nurse. When you told me your name that first day in the hospital, I wondered, but it seemed so impossible." "It is impossible," I said. "Of all the apartment buildings in all the cities, for me to drive by at that exact moment." Anna reached across the table and took my hand. "Or maybe it's not impossible at all. Maybe it's exactly what was supposed to happen." Jamie came back downstairs then, oblivious to the revelation unfolding in the kitchen. I checked everywhere. We didn't forget anything. I looked at him, really looked at him. My son. The child I'd carried beneath my heart, the baby I'd held so briefly, the boy I'd dreamed about for a decade. Standing in my kitchen, alive and well and real. "Jamie," Anna said softly, "why don't you show Elaine your letter too?" He looked confused but nodded, pulling a folded piece of paper from the same pocket where he kept the compass. "It's kind of old," he warned me. "And it's hard to read some parts because the ink got smudged." The letter was indeed worn, the creases soft from being folded and unfolded countless times. I recognized my own handwriting immediately, the words I'd written through tears 18 years ago. "My dearest James, asterisk. As I write this, you are asleep in the hospital nursery, only 2 days old. Your tiny hand wrapped around my finger earlier, and I memorized the feel of it because I know I won't get to hold it again, asterisk. I want you to know that giving you up is the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm not abandoning you, I'm setting you free to have the life you deserve, the life I can't give you right now. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone, and that's why I have to let you go, asterisk. I hope someday you might understand and forgive me. I hope your life is filled with love and laughter and adventure. I hope you know that not a day will pass without me thinking of you, wondering about you, loving you from afar, asterisk. I'm including my father's compass, your grandfather's compass. He always said it would help him find his way home, no matter how lost he was. I hope it might guide you too, wherever your journey takes you, asterisk. All my love, asterisk. Your mother, Elaine, asterisk." I couldn't see the words through my tears. I folded the letter carefully and handed it back to Jamie. "Thank you for showing me that," I said, my voice breaking. Anna looked at me, then at Jamie, her expression unreadable. "Jamie," she said finally, "there's something you should know about Elaine." My heart stuttered in my chest. Was she going to tell him? Here? Now? I wasn't prepared. I hadn't had time to think, to process what this meant. But Anna surprised me. "Elaine is going to be a special friend to us," she said. "I think we should invite her to come visit us at the hotel sometimes." Maybe she could even come to your birthday party next month. Jamie's face lit up. Really? That would be awesome. I met Anna's eyes over his head, silently thanking her for the reprieve, for understanding that this revelation needed time, care, consideration of what was best for Jamie. I'd like that very much, I said. Later, as they were loading their things into Anna's car, she pulled me aside. I've raised him since he was 3 months old, she said quietly. I'm the only mother he's ever known. I know, I said. I'm not trying to take him from you. But you are his mother too, she acknowledged. Biologically. And you saved his life, which means something. I don't know what happens next, but I think we need to figure it out together, for Jamie's sake. I nodded, relief washing over me. Thank you for being so understanding. Thanking me? You gave me the greatest gift of my life, she said. And now fate or God or whatever you want to call it has given you a second chance to know your son. I think we're both pretty lucky. As they drove away, I stood on my porch watching until their car disappeared around the corner. The emptiness I'd carried for 18 years had been filled with something new, not closure, exactly, but possibility. The impossible possibility that my son had found his way back to me, guided by a small silver compass and the inscrutable workings of fate. Over the next few weeks, we navigated our new reality carefully. Anna and I spoke often, figuring out how to tell Jamie the truth in a way that wouldn't confuse or upset him. We agreed to wait until after his birthday, to let him enjoy the celebration without the weight of this revelation. I visited them at the hotel, then later at their new apartment once the insurance company found them a place. Jamie and I grew closer with each visit. I helped him with his science project, took him to the planetarium to nurture his interest in astronomy, learned that he loved strawberry ice cream but hated chocolate, that he was afraid of thunderstorms but fascinated by lightning. On his birthday, we had a small party at their new apartment. I brought him a telescope, not an expensive one, but good enough to see the moon's craters and Jupiter's moons. His eyes lit up when he opened it. This is the best present ever, he declared, throwing his arms around me. I held him close, breathing in the scent of his hair, storing away the moment in my heart. After cake and presents, when the few school friends he'd invited had gone home, Anna nodded at me. It was time. We sat Jamie down on the couch between us. We have something important to tell you, Anna began gently. Something about your birth mother. Jamie looked from her to me, confusion evident on his face. What about her? Do you remember the letter she wrote you? How she said she was going to become a nurse? He nodded. And do you remember what her name was? Elaine, he said slowly, his eyes widening as he turned to look at me. Like you. Yes, I said softly. Like me. Because I am her, Jamie. I'm your birth mother. He stared at me for a long moment, processing this information. But, how? Why are you here now? I didn't know who you were when I found you in that fire, I explained carefully. I had no idea where you were, who had adopted you. But when I saw your compass, I recognized it. It was my father's, your grandfather's. So when you saved me, I didn't know I was saving my own son, I finished. But I'm so grateful that I did, that I got to meet you and know you. Jamie was quiet for so long that I began to worry. Had we made a mistake telling him? Was he angry? Confused? Finally, he spoke, his voice small. Did you not want me? Is that why you gave me away? The question pierced my heart. Oh, Jamie, no. I wanted you more than anything in the world. But I was very young, and I was alone, and I had no money, no home that was safe for a baby. I thought you deserved better than what I could give you then. And I found that better home with Mom, Anna added, putting her arm around him. But that doesn't mean Elaine didn't love you. She loved you so much that she was willing to let you go so you could have the best life possible. Jamie looked at the compass in his hand, then back at me. So, what happens now? Do I have to choose between you? No, Anna and I said in unison. You don't have to choose, I assured him. Anna is your mom. She raised you, and she loves you, and that won't change. I'm just someone extra who loves you too. If you want me in your life. He considered this, his expression serious. Like having two moms? Something like that, Anna agreed. If that's okay with you. Jamie's face broke into a smile. That's more than okay. That's awesome. Relief flooded through me, so intense I felt dizzy with it. He didn't hate me. He wasn't rejecting me. We had a chance to build something, the three of us, something unconventional but real. That night, as I was preparing to leave, Jamie came up to me holding the compass. I want you to have this back, he said. I shook my head. It's yours, Jamie. Your grandfather wanted you to have it. But it helped me find you, he said. So it did its job. And now I don't need it anymore because I know where you are. Tears sprang to my eyes as I accepted the compass from him. Thank you. I'll keep it safe for you, and when you're older, I'll give it back. And maybe someday you can give it to your own child. Jamie nodded solemnly, then threw his arms around me. I'm glad you found me, Elaine Mom. Elaine Mom. My heart swelled with love and gratitude. I'm glad I found you too, Jamie. More than you'll ever know. As I drove home that night, the compass sat on the passenger seat beside me. I thought about the impossible journey that had led me to this moment, the loss, the longing, the years of wondering, and then the miraculous second chance I never dared hope for. I don't know if it was fate or coincidence or some cosmic balancing of the scales that led me to that burning building on that exact day. I don't know why, of all the children in all the world, it was my son I found there. But I do know that I will spend the rest of my life being grateful for it, for this unexpected gift of knowing the child I thought I'd lost forever. Sometimes, when the universe takes something from you, it keeps it safe until you're ready to receive it back. Sometimes, the compass you give away returns to you, having guided your heart home at last.